James Wright.
Alberto.
Yeah. Thanks for coming up, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This is such an honor. I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness. This is amazing.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been great to meet you and talk to you. I would not meet you, but talk to you before, and now finally meet you in person.
Absolutely, man. This is great getting to come down here and see your stuff and get to know you personally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You live in San Diego, right?
I do.
Are you originally from San Diego?
I'm from all over, but I call San Diego my home. I've lived there more than anywhere else.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from all over. We moved every 4 years growing up.
Okay.
I was born in Arkansas. Lived in Hawaii for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
military family?
My dad was in the nuclear industry.
Okay.
So we every time they brought up a new nuclear plant, my dad would go and work on that and moved us all over the place.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And you ended up in San Diego.
Yeah, I went to college there, and I said, I'm going to retire there one day. And then I went into the Marine Corps, and I actually did technically retire.
So you went to
there.
college first?
Yes, yeah, University of San Diego.
Okay, cool.
And then...
what'd you study?
International relations. So I had dreams of one day being a diplomat or an ambassador.
Okay.
And, my paths, I went down a different path. So I got to be in the Marine Corps for 20 years and be a pilot in the Marine Corps, and then retire.
Did you think you wanted to be a pilot?
Always wanted to be a pilot from the time I can remember. From when I was a kid, always wanted to fly. My dad was a pilot in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he flew F-4 Phantoms back in Vietnam. So
nice. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what he land. I always loved the was it Top Gun where they land on the
on the carriers.
On the carriers.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. I've gotten to land helos, helicopters on big boats.
Nice.
But I never got the chance to land a jet on one. So
nice. So you knew you always wanted to be a pilot, and then what made you want to go into the military after college?
The military paid for my college. I was on a ROTC scholarship. But even before that, I knew I wanted to serve in some capacity and give back to my country. My father served, his father served, and it just goes all the way back. And everybody's served various numbers of years. And I just happened to stay a little longer, stay for 20 years in there.
20 years, wow.
Yeah. And it's a choice I do not regret. Made some brothers for life, some seen some things, and it was overall an amazing experience, and it helped make me who I am today.
They say like the top CEOs, right, of companies, they have either a military background or martial art background. You've got both, right? You're presenting Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt as well.
I am.
So what has being in the military? Why do you think that would give somebody the edge? What has it given for? What has it done for you?
So the military, one, it teaches a real sense of leadership, ownership, taking care of your men, taking care of your women, and it's all towards a common goal, mission accomplishment, whatever that may be. Whether it's putting bombs on target, whether it is going out and rescuing a SEAL team, whether it's providing aid and relief to a country that's been hit by an earthquake or tsunami or something like that. It's a common goal that everybody joins together to accomplish, because there is no failure. You get it done, and you figure out how to do it while you're doing it.
Either do it or
people die. And so there is no in between on that.
What else?
So the military, like I said, it gives you a true sense of brotherhood. You guys, you face situations with people that you'll never face anywhere else. A funny story, my first night in Iraq, we first got to Iraq, and we get there, we start getting to where we're going to be staying, and we start taking mortars and rockets. And one of the mortars and rockets hit the ammunition dump. And so that stuff started going off like crazy. Here's my first time in combat, first time in Iraq, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a long 6 months. But you know what? We all joined together. We all figured things out, and we brought everybody home that deployment. Every single person made it home. And that's what that's what made everything worth it. So we made a difference over there. We really did.
You were a pilot in Iraq?
I was.
What was your division?
So I flew the CH-46, the Battle Frog is what they call it, and we do assault support and CASEVAC. So assault support was bringing Marine soldiers, into zones so that they can engage, close with, destroy the enemy, and or CASEVAC. Somebody gets hit, somebody gets hurt, and we have what they call the golden hour, where if you can get somebody to a shock trauma platoon within that hour, their chances of survival are exponentially greater than once you start going past that hour. So, part of the job would be you're sitting standby in the helicopter or on a 5-minute call ready to go, in case you get that call that there's a Marine down. And it's something that everybody takes very, very seriously.
Yeah. How many tours did you take? Or did you have in?
Say like six, I
6.
believe. Yeah, 3.5 years I've spent over in Iraq. I never made it to Afghanistan, but I spent about 3.5 years in total in country in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah, I was anywhere from Ramadi during the uprising and that was a pretty crazy time. Setting up the Provincial Joint Coordination Center to, being at another base, doing CASEVAC or whatever it may be. So I got a wide variety of stuff,
Share with me some war stories, some crazy stories.
All right, I'll tell you one funny story here. So when we got into country and I was flying with one of the guys from the squadron that we were relieving. And they're basically just showing us, hey, these are the hot spots. These are where you got to be careful, And I saw this beautiful rainbow up ahead. I'm like, I've never seen a rainbow like that. I'm like, hey, man.
In Iraq, huh?
In Iraq, right? I'm like, and it wasn't raining or anything. And I'm like, hey, check that out, man. That's gorgeous. What is that? Yeah, hey, rifle, they're shooting at us, break left. Roger, flight break left, because the way the sun was reflecting, because they could hear us. But by the time they hear us, we're already past them. So as they started hearing helos or whatever, they would just start shooting rounds up into the air. They'd start shooting it up in the air, hopes of hitting one of us. So it's pretty cool when you see it for the first time. But yeah, I took a lot of crap for that afterwards. He was gonna fly into a bunch of bullets coming at him.
What? That's good. Imagine. What happened? I saw a rainbow, and
I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty rainbow.
That's the last thing you saw.
Yeah.
What are some lessons that just from those tours, that experience? I'm curious to hear that.
The biggest lesson that I would say is team. I would absolutely say team, and that doesn't just mean team between the Army, the Marines, the sailors that are out there, but that was also teaming with the Iraqis, teaming with the Pakistanis that ran the chow halls and things like that. Because if you want to affect change, you're not going to do it by yourself. You're going to have to go in conjunction with somebody. And I will say, there are some true Iraqi patriots that really did want what was best for their country, and they were willing to do whatever it took. We had one guy that we worked with, and he didn't come into work one day, and then the next day he showed up, and we're like, hey, is everything okay? Al-Qaeda had captured and killed his son, and it was because he was working with the multinational forces. And we're like, oh my God, what are you doing here today? Go be with your family, go, and he said, look, if I don't come here, who will? We have to lead from the front. And we have to show the rest of the people that they cannot cow us, that we will not fall to their demands. So that's what I'm saying, team. They relied on us, relied on them, and there were some real absolute patriots on both sides.
Wow, it's crazy, huh?
Yeah. And
what were some of the Al-Qaeda situations over there that you guys had to encounter with, deal with when you were there?
I mean, roadside bombs and things like that.
Just driving around, going to the...
Yeah, when we were going from one place to another, you always had to worry about IEDs and things like that. And you know, they're not dumb, like everybody seems to think. You know, everybody thinks, they're just a bunch of, you know, whatever's. But a lot of those guys are very smart, and that's why it's taken so long to, you know, put them down, for lack of a better word. Because
like the guys in Afghanistan, right? They think, but they're, you know, they're seasoned vets, right?
They are, you know.
Russia versus, you know, whoever.
Yeah, nobody has conquered. Nobody has beaten anyone in Afghanistan. You know, the French, the Russians, everybody that's gone in there has gone back in time with their tail between their legs. So, and that's a bunch of farmers with guns out there, but they know their terrain, they know their tactics, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're dialed in, right, with their environment.
Yeah,
like nobody else.
Yeah, they're like billy goats. I mean, they can scale a mountain quicker than any of us can. That's for sure.
And it's like, you know, like the Caucasus, the like Armenia, you know, like Dagestan, like you see Khabib and stuff. Man, those people there. I mean, that's not, Afghanistan is a little farther away, right? But those Caucasus, like, you know, a lot of mountains and stuff, mountain ranges. I feel like it's like a lot of tough people. You know.
Yes, it's a different breed. It's a different breed of people.
But you see like fighters come out of there, wrestlers, you know. I don't see too many like from Afghanistan in those areas, you know, for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the poverty level. They don't really have the opportunity to do sports and things like that, like wrestling and those kinds of things. What do you think?
You know, you might be right. I mean, it's
Iran does,
their
yeah.
wrestling team.
They have, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, Afghanistan, I mean, to be fair, I don't know a lot about that country, but I would think, like you said,
because you were in Iraq, right?
Yeah, I was in Iraq most of my time. But you know, when you're trying to find your next meal, you know, that probably takes precedence. You know, your scarcity over, you know, trying to become a world great fighter or wrestler, and I'm sure they have them, but.
Yeah, just thinking for the like way of life, you know, like in some of the areas, that's what you do growing up, right? Yeah, that's what you do. Like that's what you play, you know.
Yeah, what was that?
Like in Brazil, like you play soccer. You know, you just that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that. I think it's an African tribe where they like basically Greco-Roman wrestle.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Those guys are beasts.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because that's what they've been doing since they were like 5 years old. Yeah, it is pretty neat, you know.
Yeah. Right on. So 6 tours, huh?
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade a minute of it. Yeah, there were crappy times. There were times you're like, God, what are we doing here? This sucks.
What was your favorite moment being there?
Just meeting some of the people, to be fair. Some of the people that were there were absolutely, the guy that I told you that lost his child while we were there, the guy was amazing. You know, teaching us bits and pieces of their language and their culture and their history. I mean, it was an experience you're not going to get anywhere else, you know. So I'd say that was definitely a highlight. I know when we left, right before me and my team left, they had this big, like, farewell dinner where there was an actual live goat out there. And we're like, what's that goat doing out there? You know?
That's crazy,
That's
right?
dinner.
That's great.
So,
did they slaughter it right there?
They did all that stuff, yeah.
That's hilarious.
And, you know, and it was all, you know, everybody has their piece of bread, you know, that they reach in and they grab. It was very unique. It was a very unique experience.
Man, what went through your head when the guy came back to work, if you want to call it that, and his son got killed?
I had to reevaluate. I had to ask myself that question myself. Man, if I were in his shoes and my child was just kidnapped and killed, would I be showing up to work the next day? You know, I had to question my own morality, my own drive, and figure out, man, that would be really, really tough. But like he said, if I don't do it, who else will? You know, and that's that leadership from the front. That's not only talking the talk, but walking the walk, you know. And they captured his son because he was working for the multinational forces, making things better for Iraq.
That's crazy. A big impact on you, huh? Looking back at...
Yeah.
all these years.
Absolutely. Because you know, you first get there and you're working with these guys. You don't know who you can trust, who you can't trust. You know, you sleep with your pistol under your pillow. You know, but slowly you get to know who you can and who you can't. So, and he was a guy that you definitely after a couple weeks you knew you could trust this guy with your life. And then he proved it after, you know, losing his son. He still showed up.
Wow.
So. Pretty amazing.
Wow. You came back. You retired after
20 years.
20 years.
2012. Did some odd jobs flying for like corporations, and then now I'm an airline pilot now. So. When
did you start jiu-jitsu?
I started jiu-jitsu probably when I was about 37, 38. I was looking for something to do with my son, Kai. Kai was 4. And the rule in our family is we don't care what you do. If you want to do soccer, baseball, gymnastics, ballet, we don't care what you do, but you got to do something, right? And if you sign up to do a team sport, then you got to see it through the season. If you sign up for an individual sport, then we'll go on a 3-month period. So you got to, you know, we figured 3 months will give you enough time to get over the beginner, I don't like this, then you get more comfortable, and then you can really decide if this is something you like. So I was looking for something that my son and I could do, and I hearkened back to the old UFC days, remembering Hoist Gracie, you know, with the jiu-jitsu, just destroying people. And I bet against him every single time back then in 1992 or whatever it was, 93.
We had no idea, right?
We had no clue, and I'm like, one day I want to learn that. And there was a school near where we lived, and so I called him up and I said, "Hey, you know, my son and I are thinking about."
What was the name of the school?
It was San Diego Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, okay.
Paulo Fernando.
Okay.
And he said, "Yeah, we've got adult and kids classes. Why don't you guys come on by, check it out?" And so we did. All right, and we did our first class, and Kai did his first class.
He was 4 years old.
4 years old.
Wow.
And that's all she wrote. Kai never wanted to leave jiu-jitsu, and Kai was such an amazing player. I mean, he was won Pan Ams, won Worlds, you know, Grapplers X, any tournament out there, he would place first, second, or third, you know. And it was funny because there was another group of kids that you may have heard of, you know, the Rotolo twins. And they were in Kai's bracket. One year Kai would win, the next year one of them would win, you know, and it was back and forth, and now those guys are just destroying it, you know, and that was the level that Kai was at that time. And it was something we loved because after class, we'd come back and we would play at home, right? Practice some of the stuff. And especially when he was getting ready for a tournament, you know, we'd be like, "Hey, if you can sweep me, you're going to be able to sweep any of those kids," you know? And so it was just fun. It was our daddy-son time that we absolutely loved to do. And so we stuck with it and been with it ever since.
How did you got involved? You started training, you brought him in.
Yep.
But then because you started bringing him in, you're like, might as well get on the mat too.
Well, we both signed up the same day.
Okay.
Same day. Yeah,
gotcha.
We both went and watched a class. We were like, "Wow, this is pretty great." We were allowed to do a class for free to see if this was something that
he was 4 years old, huh?
He was 4
at that time. That's amazing.
But he was so disciplined and determined. You know, he watched that first class, just absolutely mesmerized. Like, "Dad, I want to do that. Dad, I want to do that." "All right, buddy, we'll do it." And we signed up, and you know, the rest was history. We haven't left since.
They battled the Rotula brothers.
Yeah.
Over the years, that's crazy.
Yeah, good. You know, good bunch of guys, good bunch of kids, great schools. I don't care what school you go to.
That was the same gym, right? You said the San Diego
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We started there, and then Andrew Eidson, who was one of Paulo's black belts, started a school which was closer to where we lived.
I see.
So that was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Unlimited, and then 4S BJJ, and now partnered with Barbosa B9.
I see.
And so
that's where you got your black belt.
That's where I got my black belt. Yes. So good bunch of guys, real good bunch of guys there. Bunch of killers. Bunch of killers there. So it's a way of lifestyle, as you know, obviously. For me, it's a great stress relief. It keeps me in shape. It keeps me focused. You know, I know if I don't go, you know, for a week or 2 weeks or a month, you know, my whole body and everything starts getting out of whack because I need the contact, I need the exertion, I need the mental relief of just doing it, you know. And so that is that's why I'm still doing it. That's why I'm still doing it.
We're gonna train today.
We're gonna train today.
Get on the mat together.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I cannot wait to steal some of that knowledge of yours. So.
We'll have fun. We'll have fun.
Yeah.
And you know, like going back to your Kai. So, you know, he was competing. Like how many tournaments was he doing a year?
Oh God. Probably at least once a month.
Once a month.
Probably. I mean, you know, there may be some months where he didn't. But
was that because he wanted to, or what was the, you know, as a parent?
No, he loved to compete. He absolutely loved to compete. And you know, when he would lose, you know, he'd be sad, of course.
How many tournaments do you think he did?
Wow. Probably at least 40, 50, somewhere in there. 30, 40, 50.
Wow.
You know,
you lost track.
Yeah, it was a lot. We had a medal board at one point that we filled up, you know, and then another medal board, and then it was like, okay, Kai, you know, you do this because you love it, you know, and you learn. And he would, man, if he lost a fight, we would go back and watch the tapes. He would initiate that. He's like, where did I go wrong on this, you know? And we'd like, I put my hand on the ground right there, and that guy capitalized on it, you know. And that wasn't from me or my wife. That was him wanting to evolve his game and get better and better.
It's amazing. What kind of things did you do to support
him?
Yeah.
Well, obviously participating as well, and then my professor would allow me as a blue belt and then purple belt to help coach the kids class. So got a lot of one-on-one time with him and the other kids. And what was great was I was learning too, you know, to help and teach the kids, right? You know, it may be some basic stuff, but something may key in my brain like, oh, that makes sense. You know, so I was learning, helping teach the kids class. You know, I was just a helper. I was just one of the adults on the mat helping out, you know, with the kids. And I learned just as much as they did, I believe. So.
Yeah. You teach, but you learn when you teach, right?
Absolutely.
There's that.
Yeah, for sure.
I always ask like some of the Gracie guys that grow up, and like what was it like growing up? You know, what do you recommend for parents? You know, growing. You know, your kids as a parent with a kid in jiu-jitsu. What do you recommend? Like, you know, the environment, the mindset. You know, for that. You know, or what do you remember? And they say like usually like fun. It was fun. You know.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to give? You know, what do you want them to have the experience, right? And you want it to be fun for them more than anything, like playful. You know, where it's like it's fun.
Yeah.
And I hear about your son, like, you know, Kai, like competing, and it's from him. You know, it's amazing. You know, to have that kind of focus and drive at that age. What year? When did he start competing? At what age? 4 years old. I was like, it's like a baby. You know?
I think he was probably 6 or 7.
6 or 7. That's amazing.
And he did his first Grappler's X.
Okay.
And he took gold at that. Amazing. And then that's all it took.
That's
I mean, he was hooked. He got addicted.
After that. To that. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
You know, and as he grew up in the gym, you know, he was the kid that everybody, all the new kids, he would introduce them. Say, hey, I'm Kai. You know, hey, welcome. Come on over. He'd put his arm around their shoulders, walk under the mats. You know, hey, let me help you, show you these warm-ups and stuff. As all the other kids are going, you know, he would hang out and help teach the other kids. You know, he was a junior professor basically, you know, for the kids class. He was somebody that helped out our main instructor with the kids, especially with the new kids. And it was funny too, if some kid came in from another school that was, you know, bigger or whatever and talking a bunch of smack, this is, you know, then Kai would go with that kid and it'd be pretty funny, the results sometimes. You know,
it's amazing, man.
But he loved it. He had
kid.
fun. That's why he never asked to leave, because we asked him several times throughout, the years, hey, did you want to try soccer or anything else, or do you want to stick with this? It's your call. I'm having too much fun, Dad. I don't want to leave this.
So he would go to school, and then he would be at jiu-jitsu pretty much the rest.
Yeah.
Probably do his homework and then be at jiu-jitsu the rest of the day.
Yep. Yeah. He'd go train with the kids, and then, 11, 12, probably right around when he, was 12, he was starting to train with the adults at that point, and surprising a lot of adults.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's crazy. So kids to get, he's been on the mat now at that point.
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Yeah, I know my instructor said, hey, James, you better hurry up and get your black belt, because Kai's coming, and he's going to smash all of you guys, me and the other dads that all came up together with our kids. We were all laughing, because those kids they would absolutely be able to just put it to us, because they've been ingrained in the movements since they were 4, 5.
4 years old, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I started when I was 18, so to have that kind of, that's what's coming in the future, right?
Yeah.
Is that 4 years old,
Yes.
training, being on the mat.
Yep.
That's the future, right?
It is.
More and more. It's already here, and it's not the future, but
yeah,
more and more time goes on.
Yep.
That's just common, right?
That is right. You own this school here, right? It's the future of your school. It's the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
That are coming. Yeah,
for sure. I watched the video, the tribute to Kai on was it Breakpoint? They think they sponsored it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was passing. Yeah, and all the kids talking about him.
Yeah, he passed in 2014 at the age of 12, and yeah, it was tough. It still is, obviously, because he was such a bright light. And his light was dimmed too early, it really was. But yeah, Breakpoint, they came up with this beautiful design rash guard that
12 years old.
And look at all the people he affected.
12 years old. My son is 13. My girls are 12. They're just starting to become like, yeah.
Yeah. It's something no parent should ever have to go through, ever. I can't think of a worse thing to happen to anybody than to lose a child. And so, yeah, that's why we're starting, the not-for-profit Kimonos for Kai, because we want to get the word out that you're not replaceable. You are not replaceable.
So, you mind sharing like what happened? Like, what was the you like a suicide? Like what? Yes. Like one of my black belts I shared with you. Like he I hate to even like repeat it, and it's just so hard to even say. Like I've known my black belt's son since he was born. Like so it's just like I can't even. But he found him like hung and
yeah.
So like what happened? What happened with Kai?
Kai's death was ruled a suicide. I was actually out of town, and my wife found him. Yeah. And, the sad thing is at that age, 8 to 18, their brains still aren't fully developed. And there's a lot of impulse non-control. Let's say impulse non-control, because they get in their minds that, the world would be a better place without me. And so they don't think, and then they just do. And they don't realize that it is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And that's why it's so sad, because their brains aren't developed enough. And I can guarantee you right now, if my son Kai could come back and tell us how sorry he was for the pain, because he would never have wanted to cause his family the pain that we went through and the anguish, for his passing, his tragedy. And, I know it was just a temporary thing he happened to be going through that day, and decided to take his life, you know. And there were no signs. There's not always signs. There are not always signs that your kid's in distress.
When I went to the funeral, yeah, you know, I was really torn up that whole week. You know, when I found out, and ended up flying. I'm from New Mexico, right, originally, so I flew back to New Mexico and Santa Fe, and just listened to everybody talk, and the kids from his class, and just everybody. He trained jiu-jitsu as well, wrestled, and there was no signs, you know, of just seemed like a happy kid, you know, and
yeah, and that's where we as parents, you as a coach, a professor, or our teachers, your uncles, your aunts, that's where we need to start having these genuine conversations with our youth, especially with COVID and everything going on.
Even worse, right?
It's even worse right now. I mean,
disconnections.
Yeah, teen and preteen suicide. It's the number 2 leading cause of death for teens and preteens, and it's going up exponentially because nobody is connected. Nobody's connected. They're Zooming for class, you know, that even those kids that get to go to school, you know, they're separated by plexiglass, they're wearing masks, they don't get to go play, you know, they don't get to roughhouse, they don't get to do all that kind of stuff, and they're missing out on that connection. They're missing out on conflict resolution. They're missing out on all of that stuff right now. So that's where we as adults need to step in, and not just, hey, how was your day today? Oh, it was good. Oh, great. Glad to hear that. And then move on. You know, we need to put our phones down and have open-ended conversations, you know? So, you know, you can start with how was school today? And then if it's a one word answer, you go, well, who did you play with today? What did you have for lunch? What was the best subject today? What did you learn today? What did you know, and you get them talking. Get them talking. You know, and if they get comfortable doing that in those situations, they're going to feel comfortable enough coming to you when they're in that bad situation. They just broke up with their girlfriend. They just realized they were gay. Whatever it may be, they're going to be more willing to open up to you because you've been having these dialogues with them throughout, you know, however long you've been having these. And it's never too late to start. You know, I challenge everybody that's going to listen to this. Yeah. Have a conversation with your kid today. Tell them that you love them. Give them a big hug. Give them a big kiss.
It seemed like, I mean, you spent so much time with them. Jiu-Jitsu, I just need to think about Jiu-Jitsu, you know? So, I mean, I know you're talking about Jiu-Jitsu. Like, is that some of the dialogue that you have in your head that, like, you wish you would have done more of that?
Absolutely.
To know where he's at, and you know, I don't know.
You know, I thought I did, but what really, and I've shared this with you earlier. His loss brought about a huge amount of shame and guilt. Because number one, you have one job as a parent. That's to protect your kid. Keep them safe, you know, and when a child takes their own life, you have to deal with that. And you could have done nothing wrong. Okay, let me just put that out there. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent because your son or daughter decided to take their life. But it's hard to tell yourself that I had to be horrible. I had one job, keep my kid alive, and he's not alive anymore. And then the other stories that come up. Oh my God. Hey, Dad, can we go do this? Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it in an hour. Hour comes and goes. Hey, I'm still working on whatever I'm working on. Let's get together later. And then later comes and goes, and you just wasted that time you could have had with your kid. And so those were things I had to deal with that I'll always be dealing with, you know. But I have other kids, and I won't let that happen again, meaning I stay connected with them.
How many kids do you have?
I have three kids. I have my oldest is my daughter Emily, who's at Gonzaga, killing it. She's going to be a senior next year.
Wow.
And then we had Kai, and then our youngest John, who's 10. And every day when he comes home from school, we have a conversation. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't even imagine. just going through that, you know, you know, you said like people to do that thing. Like, how did you and your wife and your family, how did you guys deal with that loss? What are some of the things that helped you? We didn't
initially. And that hurt our marriage, you know, that we're in a much better place now, but men and women grieve very differently. Me personally, I compartmentalize. I just shoved it in the back of my head, you know. I would let it out occasionally when I had to. Sometimes it would come out whether I wanted it to or not, you know. And literally a week after he died, I had to go to training for the airlines. And for me, I went, you know, because for me, I'm like focusing on something other than the death of my son I thought would help, you know, at the detriment of my marriage. I should.
Did you remember the guy in Iraq that going back to work?
No, I did not think about him. Yeah, but
I was just thinking like maybe help him dealing with that loss, you know.
Yeah, that was not something I thought about, but you know, looking back now, yeah, that's, you know, he did it.
But you went back to work and, you know, focus on just staying busy.
Yeah, well, I had just been hired at literally the week that he'd passed away.
Oh my God!
I got the call from the airline saying, "Hey, congratulations, we got a class date for you. You know, we need to do something." It was on a Thursday, and I said, "You know, I'm absolutely happy, but we have my son's memorial service on Thursday." They're like, "What?" You know, and to their credit, this company was absolutely phenomenal. You know, they sent some flowers, and I hadn't even started work there. That's how good this company is.
So I want to thank you, man, for sharing all this. You know, being vulnerable and just talking about all this stuff. You know,
man, if we can help,
like not easy. You know, yeah.
If we can help one family,
yeah,
by, you know, just starting those conversations, guess what? It's worth it. Yeah. And I know we're going to save a lot more than that. So
for sure.
Thank you.
We'll talk about your you know, the charity that you set up, and
sure,
Kimonos for Kai at the end.
Yeah.
So you know, you grew with it differently. How did your wife? You said men and women.
Yeah, you know, and I don't want to speak for her, but my experience was, you know, it's such a loss. You know, it's such a loss for any parent, but you know, a mother and a child. When they lose somebody that close to them, they don't want to lose anybody else, so that they don't want to get close to anybody else, to include immediate family members, right? They kind of just stand off a little bit, you know, push away a little arm's length, because if that can happen to their son, that can happen to anybody. And so it's just a different grieving track, you know, and we went through some of that, but we're also stronger as a team, and that took us a little while to figure out, but once we did, you know, we just crossed our 25-year anniversary this past December. So
25 years?
25 years, yeah. You know, and things are better now than they were, you know, when we first got married, if you can believe that, because we realized that we need to do this as a team. We need to do this together, and each of us going down our own paths is not going to work. So, is that what you were looking for?
I wasn't looking for anything. I just wanted to hear.
Yeah, you know. It's I can't stress enough how difficult something like that is going through for everybody. My daughter, you know, she was they were separated by 2 years and 2 days, and they were so tight. You know, they loved each other more than anybody else, and they fought like brother and sister, but they had each other's backs, let me tell you. And you know, watching my daughter go through all that, you know, it's just as heartbreaking, you know, to see her grieving for her brother that she lost. Because we all blame ourselves. Every single person blames themselves. God, I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have done this. We could have been closer. We could have been having these conversations, you know, and that time you never get back. So start now. Start having those conversations with your kids now.
So what helped you guys? What helped you?
What helped me in all this was trying to come up with something.
I know you're still dealing with
Yeah,
people.
it's never going to go away.
What are some of the things that have helped you?
Yeah, there's no timeline on grief. But what helped me was initially starting the foundation, the foundation for Kimonos for Kai, because I wanted some good to come out of this tragedy. I wanted to get awareness out there about teen and preteen suicide. And just working on that was fairly cathartic, and then I would get invited to come speak at different companies, different corporations, and talk just my story, like we're doing right now, and tell them, about starting these conversations with their kids. And you can't imagine. I mean, it's everywhere. Every gender, every race, every economic status. It doesn't matter if you're poor, rich, black, white. It doesn't matter. It affects everyone equally,
I saw some of the statistics on your website, on the kaiforkimonos.com website. Right?
Kimonos for Kai.
Kimonos for Kai.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the statistics of like teen suicide and?
Oh, yeah. Well, it is the second leading cause of death in teens and preteens. And they just did a study, and please forgive me, I can't remember the source, but it's like 75% of teens that they had interviewed for this study had either considered suicide or made an attempt at suicide. I mean, that right there should scare
it says on
you.
your website, right? 6,200 lives are lost each year. This is just the U.S., right?
Yeah, this is just
right?
in the U.S. Yeah.
And the U.S. Is lost each year to youth suicide, and the second leading cause of death for youth, ages 10 to 24. And then every 1.5 hours, a youth commits suicide. That's crazy. That's
so sad.
That's crazy, right? Like all that life left, and
I mean, who knows? That could have been the next person to cure cancer. It could be the next Nobel Peace Prize winner. It could be the next Einstein, and these lives are dimmed way too early. Way too early.
Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt,
Yeah.
the GOATs, American, putting, Kai, growing up like that since he was 4 years old on the mat.
Yeah.
Which in turn, helped so many people,
Absolutely.
so many people, and then the ripple effect goes forever, right?
Yeah. His legacy lives on, whether it is through.
I saw that, I saw the kids and it was just like, oh my God, the kids talking about him, and he's just, like a leader.
Yeah, he was. He was a true leader in every sense of the way. He led from the front. He wouldn't ask anybody to do anything he wasn't willing to do. He was there in the back helping those people that needed the help. Yeah, that's just. Yeah. I learned a lot from him. Watching him and through this leadership thing that we've gone through.
18.8% of students reported seriously considering suicide. It's like another thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
And so like you're saying, the communication and like you're talking about the leadership course that we did. That's how we know each other.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And what an amazing course that's been so far, right?
Yeah. That was one of the guys in our class, right? He was a pilot as well. He was in the military with you, right?
Yes, yeah. One of my good friends, Ron, and what a great American that guy is.
He was like for George W., right? He was a pilot.
Yeah, he flew for HMX-1. Mm-hmm. Flew the president.
Is that the helicopter?
Yes.
Kind of like Air Force One.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's the helicopter one.
Exactly.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah. well, just this leadership thing. I mean, God, the variations in people. You've got CEOs, you've got dads and moms, you've got Olympic athletes, you've got people like you.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got absolute rock stars.
Dominic Cruz, UFC.
Dominic Cruz,
champ, all UFC fighters.
Jeremy Stevens.
So many Jiu-Jitsu black belts that we, highest level guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is my world, right?
Yeah. What other place do you know that can draw that diverse a group, right?
And you just graduated, right?
Yeah, I just finished this last weekend.
Your leadership.
It was absolutely amazing. So
you called me on the way leaving, right? Driving back from Vegas.
Yeah. I said, don't quit. Don't let your team quit. There's gonna be things you guys are gonna be up against. Just push through it. Just keep going as a team, and you guys will get through it, and it'll be so worth it in the end. Absolutely worth it.
I'd love to hear like some of the breakthroughs you had, going in, because you have like a discovery, you have a weekend, you have a breakthrough weekend. What is some of the things that you found out about yourself that have helped you?
Yeah, no. So breakthrough helped me push back some of the guilt and shame that I felt with my son's death, right? I am not the same person that I was back then, but more importantly, I was at the time when Kai was still alive, I was doing the best that I can, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was operating under a set of assumptions that, it's what I knew. Dad's got to be strong, got to hold his kids accountable, can't be this, that, and the other, but, I knew that they knew they were loved. And what breakthrough did was allow me to punch through a bunch of those walls and realize that I was a good dad. I was a loving father, was a good husband, and that, as sad as it may be, I didn't have any control over my son taking his life. And that the time that I wasted, not being with him because my needs took more precedence over that, I didn't know better. Until you don't know what you don't know, it's hard to change habits. And what this leadership program allowed me to do is see these things, like see how am I acting towards you, Alberto? How am I acting towards my family? And is it in a genuine way? Am I present? Am I outward focused or am I inward focused? Before I was a lot of us were inward focused,
Could you explain that?
Inward focus is, it stems from a survival mechanism, right? It's I need to get this done in order to create this, and this, right? Well, you focus inward, right, to get your goals accomplished, even if you're rationalizing, well, I need to get my goals accomplished so then I can do this for my family. Well, that's still inward focus, whereas outward focused is, I need to get this done for my family, and in order to do that, how do we get from point A to B? So it takes away from the inward focus to the outward, like my family, instead of me going, well, I need to put all this on myself and be selfish, and now I'm tired because I've worked at all this stuff, and so you guys just leave me alone right now. That's inward focus. That doesn't do anybody any good. But until you realize you're doing that, it's hard to break that habit. It's very hard to break that habit. And the 100 Days of Leadership, the thing that I just finished, that really showed me what that was all about. Basically, that brought that home. That really brought that home, because the team allowed me to practice that, not be inward focused, but helping my teammate, raise money for the charity that we did. We raised $114,000 in like 8 days.
8 days, wow.
With 20 of us, wow. 22 of us, wow. So it was pretty freaking amazing. You can't do that if you're inward focused. Yeah, you may get a certain amount of money, right? But if the rest of your team is coming up short, you're not going to win. You can't win. And I don't know, you can think of it as a game or not, but it's life, and when we all came together and we all supported each other, we all helped each other out, we raised the money as a team, and we met our goal of $114,000, which amazing, which we surpassed by the end of that. So that was probably my biggest breakthrough through all of this, was outward focused vice being inward focused. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the breakthrough, being able to let go of some of that shame and guilt of being a bad father, being a selfish man, losing my child, et cetera, because I was doing the best I could back then. And I am not that same person that I was back then. So it's pretty... The other great thing, sorry, it just came to my mind, responding vice reacting. we react in jiu-jitsu to a lot of, as a white belt, as a blue belt, even purple, we do a lot of reactions, right? Oh God, professor's got his knee here. I need to react and push this away. And then you're already in the trap, right? He's already trapped you. Whereas if you respond, you set things up and you're able to go, oh, okay, he has his knee here, but if I do this, then I know he's going to do, and the chains and things like that. So that's a good example of responding versus reacting. Reacting, you get that momentarily release, but then you're caught back in another trap. Whereas if you respond, you may still end up in a trap, but you have a better chance of progressing, out of the bad situation than just being stuck in the spider's web, for lack of a better term, right? So, and that works with, somebody cuts you off in the line. You're waiting to go get McDonald's or whatever, and somebody jumps in front of you, right? I'll be honest, I'd be the first guy to call the dude out, right? Hey, man, we've been all waiting in line here. What makes you special? I may have gotten into it with the guy, but now it's like, I don't know what this guy's day's been like. Maybe he just found out his kid has cancer that morning, or maybe he just is that entitled ass, and thinks everything. Says, is it worth my time getting upset at him, and responding with anger? Maybe he didn't realize it. So you respond, hey man, did you know by chance that, there is a line? And 9 out of 10 times you go, oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Hey, thank you for telling me. Whereas if you come at them, hey bro, what are you doing, man?
Which isn't good for anybody, including yourself, your health, right?
Yeah, right. Because all that stress level comes up, right? Because now you're preparing to possibly fight, and so it's a lose-lose situation. It's not a win-win situation, and we all want to strive to win-win where everybody wins, right? Yeah. So absolutely, the reaction versus responding. Respond, don't react.
Yeah, the first one, right? Just like, when you give, right, you receive. That's like how you receive is when you give, right?
Yeah.
And if you teach jiu-jitsu, you feel that, like you actually receive. And so the outward that's what I'm thinking about. My, being outward focused, like you're giving, right? But that's how you receive.
Yes. And you receive so much more than you give.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like I can, I relate it to my life, like with jiu-jitsu. Teaching and giving, and I'm just so grateful, I am just so grateful, and you get so much, when you give.
Right, and aren't you so proud when one of your guys,
man,
like, I don't know, kills it in a tournament, right? And you're like, that's what it's about, not the winning of the tournament, but seeing this guy go out there and do his true potential.
Past their comfort zones, and striving for their best.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even have to be a tournament, just be doing better in life, right? With all kinds of things. Like guys just go up through their barriers, all their, whatever,
Yeah.
Limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah. They're perceived limitations. What they think they can do, right? And then you go in there and you show them that they can do so much more.
Which changes everything, right? Changes their neural network that changes them forever when they go through, like, I'm talking about tournaments, right? But on the mat, beating people that you thought you couldn't beat before, right? Going through all those things, it changes people forever.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? Like you go white belt, blue belt, the progression, right? And then people it changes them forever. It just makes them, strong in all aspects, mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And who would think being comfortable, being uncomfortable would help you, but it does in life.
I kind of like, it's called choice, right? Choice leadership, choice, emotional.
Choice center.
Choice center. Anybody listening, choicecenter.com. Emotional intelligence, right? And leadership, right?
Yes.
I forgot my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
We're talking about outward giving, and that when we're outward giving, we receive so much more back from that, and that tied into choice through the leadership and through breakthrough and through discovery, where you first find out what your walls are, how to break them down, and how to use the tools. Unlike a Tony Robinson seminar.
Right. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
So it was so Choice Center. I think you learn by doing, right? Jiu-Jitsu.
Experiential learning.
Experiential
Yes.
learning.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch all the classes you want, but until you actually do it, you don't learn. You don't really understand.
Yeah.
But at Choice Center, right, they have you do the things. And like, I'm in the TAC Fit, right, with all the mobility and strength and all that stuff. And I'm kind of calling it like mental mobility.
Yeah.
Like mental mobility, because your mental, self-limiting beliefs or whatever. And so they always call them stretches, right? You're stretching your comfort zone, right? And then little by little, when you stretch, right, what happens? Little by little, you start to increase your range of motion.
Yep.
You're more limber, right? And then by, then there's no more, tightness or whatever, or no more, your mobility increases, right? So that's like, I'm calling it like mental mobility, right? All these stretches, all these drills, and it's hard at the beginning, right? Like, for example, with the TAC Fit stuff and my MS, right? I just had so many issues. I couldn't put my seatbelt on in my car. And yeah, just doing the reps. Sorry, I'm going on tangents, but that's what I feel like Choice Center does, right? It gives you that the reps, right?
And the right tools.
The right tools. Everything is thought out. It's crazy. When I when I think about it, like, what's coming up next? Because it's set up right for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I'm really excited to kind of go through the steps in leadership. I think I'm in my 4th week. Yeah, we're finishing our 4th week, going into our 2nd weekend.
It only gets better.
Yeah, and I appreciate your feedback to me, and your friendship.
Oh, this is the beginning of a lifelong friendship, Alberto, and I want to thank you for bringing me down here.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I was like, man, let's do a podcast. Let's hang out. Let's get on the mat. I just wanted to talk about the Kimonos for Kai organization and your intent, right? We talked about it, but I wanted to just kind of really, just your intent and your goals, like with it, because I know you're in the process of setting up the nonprofit. Right.
We are actually in the process of filing now. So this is going back to Choice. This was one of my goals when you start the 100 days of leadership. As you know, we have to set goals for ourselves. And I had the Kimonos for Kai Foundation, right? But that's just what it was. I couldn't accept donations. I couldn't do any of that stuff. And so one of my goals through the Choice leadership program was to make this a not-for-profit. And having been a military guy, airline pilot, I've never run a business. I've never dealt with monies and things like that. And so, I had to ask for a lot of help, which was something difficult for me to do as well, right? But I knew that, okay, I don't know this stuff, and I was put in touch with a lot of guys that have gone through the program and that have started not-for-profits, some of phenomenal businessmen.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, James, we got to set this up like a business, to run it smoothly, and so I was able to do that in the last 100 days and, spoke with the lawyers this morning, and we're going to be filing to get our 501c3 not-for-profit status. And once we get that, I'm really going to be able to get the message out there. And that message is you are not replaceable. There's always someone to talk to. If you're afraid to talk to your parents, there's a coach, there's a professor, there's a teacher, there's an uncle or an aunt, or an older cousin. There's always somebody out there to listen. And there's always someone out there to have conversations with. And like we spoke about in the beginning, the sooner we start those conversations, the more comfortable that person's going to be when things do get hard, when things don't go their way and they don't see any way out. That's where we as adults get to step in and go, no, there's a way out. We love you, let's work this out together. Let's figure this out, and hopefully we won't have suicide as the second leading cause of death.
Man, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane. So,
I wonder how it was like 40 years ago. 50 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. It's with all the social media and all the things that we have now.
It's got to be harder now. I mean, I know growing up, We're outside
playing, or, you know.
Constant conflict resolution was, oh yeah, duking
Fight,
it out for a few, and then you were buddies afterwards,
exactly.
right? You know, then you guys were friends after that. So
now everybody's behind a screen and, you know, making comments or whatever. You know, it's different, right? It's just different.
It's different, and it's not bad. It's not good. It's just different. You know, and they're growing up in a different time than what we did, and so we need to adapt to those times.
And we need connection, real connection, right?
Yes.
I think you know. Have you read that book called Tribe?
I have not.
Sebastian Junger, I think I always forget his name, but it starts with like PTSD and just it made me understand what jiu-jitsu is about. You know, okay. You know, you can be living in a city with millions of people. There's 10 million people, I think, in LA area,
and not talk to a single person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu allows us to give, you know, to have that choice center.
Yes.
Allows you to have that.
And just, you know what? There's something to be said about physical contact, whether it's a hug, whether it's you're rolling with somebody. There is something to physical connection.
100%.
You know, instead of looking at it through a screen. You know, I can give you an air hug, but that's not the same as if I give you a real hug, right? We can watch the YouTube videos. It's not the same being out on the mats. It's not.
Yeah.
You know? But I know we're going to reach, we're going to change the world one person at a time.
That's it.
We're going to, it's that ripple effect, you know, and eventually...
Butterfly effect, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, who would have thought I'd be standing next to one of my heroes right here, you know, and having this conversation with you.
Thank you. You're an amazing guy. Like, I knew that right off the bat, the way Ron spoke about you, just after my first conversation with you. So I appreciate, you know, I appreciate you, appreciate our friendship, and look forward to just all the things that you're going to be doing, you know, and the people you're going to be helping with all the projects you have.
Oh, thank you, man.
Coming up. The name of the website for
it's www.kimonos4kai.org.
.org.
Yeah, .org. It's KIMONOS4KAI.org.
Nice. How can people find you?
They can hit me up on, I also have a Kimonos for Kai page on Facebook.
Okay.
And I actually have left my cell phone number on there because if you need to reach out, you need resources, you give me a call. Doesn't matter what time of day, doesn't matter what time at night. In fact, on the website, on the Kimonos for Kai website, I have a few pages just solely for resources like teen and preteen suicide hotlines. I've got, you know, if the kid's homeless, you know, reach out places that'll take them in. And I also have talking points to start these conversations with these kids. So there's a lot of resources on that, but yes, absolutely. Feel free to call me anytime. My number's on the Facebook page, or you can message me. I'm kind of one of those old guys. I only have Facebook, and I think I may have Instagram. I think I may have Instagram, but that's about it. So
your daughter set it up for you?
Yeah, my daughter set it up. I don't know how to get to it, but yeah, it's on there somewhere. So just shoot me an email, and you can contact me through the Kimonos for Kai website. And you know, if you want me to come speak at your school, at your corporation, I am more than happy to come do that, tell the story, and how we can stop this trend of teen and preteen suicides, and how we can start genuine conversations and change the world one kid at a time.
Thanks for all that you're doing.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Alberto. It's been my pleasure being here. Absolute pleasure.